Listen to me carefully, because if you're here right now watching this, it's not by accident. You could have been scrolling anywhere, you could have clicked on something else, but you landed here. And that's not coincidence. That's alignment. That's the pull of destiny, pulling you closer to a truth that only a few ever see. If you're in the 2%, this message will shake your spirit to its very core. And if you're not, you won't even be able to handle what's about to be said. Because let's be real, most people live asleep. Most people walk through life blind, numb, distracted, chained to cycles that were never meant for them. But then there are the ones who wake up, the ones who sense the call, the ones who feel deep inside their bones that life isn't random, that they were chosen to see beyond the surface. That's you. Yes, you watching this right now. Stop for a moment. Let that sink in. You've been feeling it lately, haven't you? The heaviness, the strange energy shifts, the sense that something big is stirring in the unseen. That's not anxiety. That's not just stress. That's your spirit aligning with the shift that only the rarest souls can endure. You're being positioned, set apart. And the moment you realize this, your life will never be the same. If this is resonating with you already, pause right now and hit that like button, because it's not just a click, it's a signal. A signal to yourself, a declaration that you're choosing to step into the 2%. And trust me, this is a choice that changes everything. Now listen, the truth I'm about to share is going to challenge you. It's going to stir things inside you that you've been ignoring, things you've buried under years of noise. But I need you to hear me. The very fact that you're listening right now is proof that you were marked for something greater. The world has always been divided between the many and the few, the blind and the awake, the lost and the chosen. And right now, we're at a point in history where the gap between those groups has never been wider. People around you are panicking, running in circles, chasing illusions. But you've felt different. You've been pulled away from the crowd. And yes, it's been lonely. Yes, it's been heavy. But it's also been preparation. Tell me, haven't you noticed how people react to your presence? Some are drawn to you without knowing why, while others avoid you, almost as if your very existence exposes something in them. That's not your imagination. That's energy. That's frequency. When you walk into a room, your spirit speaks louder than your words. And those who are stuck in the 98%, they can feel it. It either attracts them or it terrifies them. Either way, it sets you apart. And this is why your journey has been harder. This is why you've faced storms that would have broken someone else. Because you are not meant for the ordinary. You are not built for comfort zones. You are wired for impact, for transformation, for power. And power cannot be formed without fire. Now here's where it gets real. What you've been going through lately, the delays, the betrayals, the quiet suffering, it wasn't punishment. It wasn't life being unfair. It was life sharpening you. Because the assignment waiting on your life requires a version of you that average people will never understand. Think about it. Every time you thought it was over, every time you thought you couldn't take another step, something in you refused to give up. That wasn't just willpower. That was your divine coding. That was proof that you're not like the rest. That's why even in your lowest moments, you still feel a flicker of fire inside you that refuses to die. That's why you keep getting back up. Because chosen ones don't stay down. And let me tell you this, the reason this message is reaching you right now at this exact moment is because you are on the edge of something monumental. You're closer than you realize. The breakthrough you've been praying for, crying for, even doubting at times, it's already in motion. And the only reason you've been pushed to your limits is because the universe or God, or whatever you call the divine force, needed you to see that you're stronger than you think. But here's the catch. Not everyone around you is meant to come with you. That's why people have been leaving. That's why certain friendships, relationships, even opportunities have been stripped away. It hurt, yes, but it was protection. Because where you're going, not everyone can follow. You are being elevated, and elevation requires separation. Does that make sense? Good. Because here's the part that will shake you. The separation isn't over yet. There are still people, still habits, still environments that you've been clinging to out of fear, and those things are quietly draining your spirit. You already know what they are. And if you're truly in the 2%, you won't ignore this nudge. You'll let them go, even if it breaks your heart, because you know that holding on to what's small can cost you what's meant to be great. Now imagine this with me. Imagine waking up tomorrow fully aware of who you are, fully aware that you're not here to blend in but to rise. Imagine walking into every room with unshakable certainty, knowing that no weapon formed against you can prosper, because you've already been marked for favor. Imagine the shift in your life when you finally stop dimming your light just to make others comfortable. That reality is not far away. It's knocking on your door. And the question is, will you answer? Because let me warn you, the universe doesn't wait forever. When the call comes, you either step into it or you miss it. And if you're still here, still listening, it means the call hasn't passed you by yet. But it won't wait much longer. You are being called to rise. Not next year, not someday now. You are being called to take the pain, the rejection, the long nights, and turn them into fuel. To take every setback and wear it as armor. To stop hiding, stop doubting, and start moving with the authority you've had all along. And here's the secret no one told you. Once you fully embrace this, once you stop fighting the path and start flowing with it, everything begins to align. Doors open that you never even knocked on. Resources show up out of nowhere. People who are truly aligned with your spirit find you effortlessly. And the things you once thought were impossible suddenly become your reality. But only the 2% ever get here. And now I need to ask you, are you really ready to step into it? Because readiness isn't about having it all figured out. It isn't about waiting until you feel worthy enough, strong enough, or perfect enough. Readiness is a decision, a line drawn in the sand, a choice to say, I will not shrink anymore. I will not deny myself anymore. I will not wait another day for permission. That's what separates the 2% from the rest. The courage to step forward even when the ground feels shaky beneath their feet. The truth is, if you're waiting to feel fully prepared, you'll never move. If you're waiting for everyone to support you, you'll never rise. And if you're waiting for the fear to disappear, you'll stay stuck forever. The 2% know this. They understand that fear doesn't go away, you just learn to walk with it, to command it, to use it as a signal that you're heading in the right direction. Think about the moments in your life when you felt the most resistance, when everything seemed to come against you at once. Those weren't coincidences. That was confirmation, because the closer you get to your breakthrough, the louder the opposition becomes. And if you're feeling that pressure now, it means you are standing at the very edge of something powerful. Now I need you to hear this with your spirit, not just your ears. The storm was never sent to destroy you. It was sent to reveal you, to reveal the depth of your resilience, to reveal the power you carry, to reveal the authority that's been inside you all along. Because you are not ordinary. And the forces that tried to break you, they knew it before you did. That's why you've been attacked so fiercely. That's why you've faced battles that others around you can't even imagine. Because what's on your life is rare, and anything rare will always be tested. But here's the twist. The test isn't to disqualify you, it's to qualify you. It's to prepare you for a level of influence, of abundance, of spiritual authority that cannot be given cheaply. Pause for a second. Feel the weight of that. Because right now, the very things you thought disqualified you, the mistakes, the losses, the heartbreaks, those are actually the things that prove you're ready. They've been carving you, shaping you, stripping away the false layers until only the real you remains. And that version of you, the one that has walked through fire and still stands, is unstoppable. Let's be real. You've already noticed that you don't think like everyone else. You don't settle the way they do. You don't numb yourself the way they do. You can't. Your spirit won't let you. Even when you've tried to fit in, even when you've tried to silence the voice inside you, it never worked. That pull, that inner whisper always came back. That's not random. That's the call. And the call doesn't leave you alone until you answer. Now lean in, because this part is crucial. The next phase of your life is going to demand that you step into alignment. Full alignment. No more halfway. No more compromising your energy just to keep the wrong people happy. No more living small because you're afraid of being seen. Alignment means living in truth. It means saying yes to the things that light your spirit and saying no without apology to the things that drain it. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. People will misunderstand you. They'll call you selfish. They'll call you crazy. They'll say you've changed. And you know what? They're right. You have changed. You were never meant to stay the same. Growth always looks like rebellion to those who are still chained. But you can't afford to care anymore, because caring too much about their opinions is the very thing that's been delaying your breakthrough. This is where your courage is tested. Not in the big dramatic moments, but in the daily choices. Will you honor your spirit when it whispers to you? Or will you silence it to keep the peace? Will you step into your calling even when it scares you? Or will you keep waiting for permission that will never come? These are the questions that separate the 2% from the rest. And let me tell you something, it doesn't take as long as you think. The shift doesn't happen over years. It happens in a single decision. One moment of clarity, one moment of surrender, one moment of fire where you say, I'm done playing small. I'm done being afraid. I'm done pretending I don't know who I am. That's when everything begins to move. That's when the universe bends in your favor. That's when the blessings that have been waiting for you finally have room to land. Do you understand the power of that? Everything you've been praying for, waiting for, aching for, it's already in place. It's not coming from somewhere far away. It's waiting for you to match the frequency of it. And you do that by stepping into alignment, by releasing what no longer serves you, by embodying the truth of who you are unapologetically. But here's the part that might sting. You can't carry dead weight into destiny. Some of you are still clinging to people who keep proving they don't belong in your story. Some of you are still holding on to habits that keep you vibrating low. And as long as you keep dragging those things with you, you'll keep circling the same cycles. If you want to step into the 2%, you must choose differently. Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and decide, fully and finally, that you're done settling. You cut the ties to the people and patterns that drain you. You invest in your spirit the way you've been investing in distractions. You walk with your head high not because you have it all, but because you finally know who you are. That version of you, that's the one the world has been waiting for. That's the one that shifts atmospheres. That's the one that shakes spirits. And make no mistake, the moment you step into that version of yourself, everything changes. Suddenly, doors open that were once locked. Suddenly, people who dismissed you before start to pay attention. Suddenly, opportunities that seemed impossible show up at your feet. Not because the world changed, but because you did. This is why the 2% live differently. It's not luck. It's not chance. It's choice. They chose to rise when everyone else settled. They chose to believe when everyone else doubted. They chose to move when everyone else froze. And now you are being given that same choice. So ask yourself, what are you willing to release to step into who you're meant to be? What are you willing to risk to finally walk in your truth? Because destiny doesn't come cheap. It demands sacrifice. But the reward is beyond anything you've imagined. The 2% don't just survive, they thrive. They don't just exist, they expand. They don't just hope, they create. And you, yes, you are standing on the threshold of that life. The only question left is, will you step through? The threshold is right in front of you, closer than your breath, closer than your heartbeat. You can feel it, can't you? That stirring in your chest, that weight pressing against your spirit. It's the sign that the door is open. But here's the thing about doors. They don't stay open forever. At some point, hesitation costs you everything. At some point, someday becomes never. And if you're hearing this right now, it's because your moment is now. So let me ask you, what's holding you back? Fear? Doubt? The voices of people who never understood you? The comfort of familiar pain? Be honest. Because if you're truly going to rise into the 2%, you can't afford to lie to yourself anymore. Self-deception is the heaviest chain of all. And the longer you carry it, the more you suffocate under the weight of a life that was never yours. Here's a shocking truth. Most people will live and die without ever meeting their true selves. They'll play roles, wear masks, follow scripts written by others, and call it a life. But inside, something in them will always know they never really lived. They never really tried. They never really answered the call. And when they leave this world, they'll leave it filled with regret. But you know that won't be your story. That can't be your story. Because the fact that you've been pulled here, right now, is proof that your spirit refuses to settle for mediocrity. Your spirit refuses to die with dreams unfulfilled. Your spirit refuses to stay silent when it was born to roar. Listen closely. You don't need anyone else to validate you. You don't need them to understand your journey. You don't even need them to believe in you. The only belief you need is the one inside your own chest. That's it. The moment you decide to believe yourself, your whole reality begins to shift. Think about the legends of history, the inventors, the prophets, the creators, the visionaries. Do you think people believed in them at the start? No. They were laughed at, ridiculed, rejected. But they kept moving. And eventually, the world that mocked them bowed to them. Why? Because they dared to keep walking when no one else did. That's the difference between the 98% and the 2%. The many wait for proof. The few move with faith. And here's the secret. The world doesn't reward the hesitant. It rewards the bold. Opportunities don't linger. Blessings don't wait. Energy flows where courage is. And right now, your courage is being tested. Not tomorrow. Not in some distant future. Now, feel the urgency of this moment. This isn't entertainment. This isn't just a video you stumbled across. This is a divine interruption. Your life is being interrupted right now because you were drifting too long, hesitating too long, doubting too long. And Spirit is saying, no more. It's time to rise. But rising means letting go. It means shedding the version of you that played small just to be accepted. It means walking away from conversations that poison your spirit. It means refusing to settle for comfort when greatness is pulling at you. And yes, it means walking alone sometimes, because the path of the 2% is narrow, and not everyone will fit beside you. But let me tell you this. Once you embrace that solitude, once you stop running from it, you'll discover that you were never truly alone. You've been guided this entire time, protected, watched over. Every time you thought you were abandoned, every time you thought you were forgotten, that was just the silence of preparation. Because the higher you're called, the quieter the preparation often feels. And now that silence is breaking. Now the signs are becoming louder, clearer, undeniable. You've been seeing them, the repeating numbers, the sudden dreams, the way certain songs or words hit your spirit at just the right time. That's not coincidence. That's confirmation. That's the universe whispering, keep going. You're closer than you think. But here's the part you can't miss. Confirmation is useless without action. Signs don't change your life. Decisions do. Faith without movement is dead. You've been shown enough. You've been told enough. Now it's time to move. Pause for a moment and breathe that in. Because when you move, the entire universe shifts with you. When you say yes, doors align. When you step forward, resources appear. When you act, destiny responds. That's the law of alignment, and it's waiting for you to claim it. But let me warn you, your next chapter won't come without resistance. The moment you decide to rise, opposition will try to pull you back. Old patterns will resurface. People you've outgrown will try to drag you down. Fear will scream louder than ever. Why? Because darkness always fights hardest when the light is breaking through. Don't let that scare you. Let it confirm you. Resistance is proof that you're moving in the right direction. If life feels heavy right now, if it feels like everything is pressing against you, take it as the sign you've been waiting for. You're breaking through. You're stepping out of the 98% and into the 2%. And when you get there, when you finally step fully into alignment, everything about you shifts. Your energy becomes magnetic. Your presence becomes undeniable. You don't have to chase anymore. Opportunities chase you. You don't have to beg anymore. Resources flow to you. You don't have to explain yourself anymore. Your results speak louder than words. Picture that for a second. Picture yourself walking in rooms where your very spirit changes the atmosphere. Picture yourself no longer weighed down by fear or doubt, but radiating confidence that others can't even explain. Picture yourself living with purpose so strong that even your enemies can't deny it. That's what's waiting for you. That's what's calling you. That's what only the 2% ever experience. But here's the final question for this moment. Are you willing to let go of who you were, to become who you were always meant to be. Because you can't have both. You can't cling to the old you and step into the new you. One must die for the other to live. And if you're truly ready, if you're truly chosen, then tonight, right here, right now, the old version of you ends. This is your awakening. This is your turning point. This is the fire that burns away every limitation, every lie, every chain. And when you rise from this moment, nothing, absolutely nothing, will ever be the same again. The fire is already burning inside you, and you can feel it. That tingling in your chest, that sudden awareness, that pull towards something greater. It's not imagination. It's ignition. The old version of you is falling away, and a new one is rising. One that doesn't beg for permission. One that doesn't bow to fear. One that knows its power and walks in it. This is the shift that changes everything. But hear me. When the fire begins to rise in your spirit, the world will notice. And not everyone will celebrate. Some will feel threatened. Some will distance themselves. Some will try to remind you of who you used to be, as if your past disqualifies your future. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Because their words are powerless against a destiny that was written long before they ever formed an opinion of you. And here's what you must understand. When you start walking in your true light, two things happen simultaneously. You attract those meant to walk with you, and you expose those who never truly supported you. This is the separation season. Don't resist it. Don't chase what's leaving. Don't cling to doors that are closing. Because every exit in your life right now is clearing space for an entrance you can't yet see. Think back, how many times have you begged for something or someone to stay, only to realize later that losing it was the best thing that ever happened to you? That's the pattern of your life. What leaves is never meant to destroy you. It's meant to free you. And if you've been stripped lately, if you've been feeling like life has taken more than it's given, then listen carefully. The stripping is always the stage before the blessing. That's why the pressure has been so intense. That's why your nights have felt heavy and your days have felt like a test you weren't sure you could pass. Because you are being pressed into purpose. Diamonds don't form in comfort. They form under pressure. Gold isn't purified in silence. It's refined in fire. And you are being refined right now into something unshakable, undeniable, unstoppable. This is why you can't give up. This is why walking away isn't an option. Do you really think you've been through all this just to quit now? Do you really think the pain, the tears, the sacrifices were wasted? No, they were investments. Every wound was a seed, and now the harvest is coming. But only if you endure. Only if you keep moving forward. Only if you refuse to let the weight of the past anchor you to the ground when you were meant to soar. Pause and feel that, because your spirit knows it's true. Haven't you noticed how, even when you've tried to quit, something in you refuses to let go? Haven't you noticed how, even when you said you were done, life pushed you back into the fight? That's because you can't quit what you were born to do. The assignment on your life won't let you walk away. And here's where it gets even deeper. Every delay you've experienced, every closed door, every betrayal, it wasn't random. It was redirection. Because where you thought you were headed wasn't big enough. Where you thought you belonged wasn't worthy of the greatness inside you. That's why it didn't work out. That's why it fell apart. Not because you weren't enough, but because you were too much for where you were trying to fit. Let that sink in. You are too much for small places. Too much for shallow people. Too much for a life that asks you to shrink in order to survive. You were created for expansion, for depth, for impact. And until you accept that, you'll keep feeling restless, unsatisfied, out of place. Because your spirit will not settle until it's living in alignment with its purpose. Now here's the twist. Alignment doesn't always feel good at first. Sometimes alignment looks like being pulled out of environments you thought you needed. Sometimes it feels like being isolated, misunderstood, even rejected. But that's the pruning. That's the preparation. Because alignment is never about comfort, it's about calling. And your calling, it's greater than you think. You think this is about just surviving? About just paying bills? About just making it through another day? No. You're being positioned to shake things, to shift atmospheres, to break generational cycles. You are the interruption in your bloodline, the one chosen to rewrite the story. That's why it feels so heavy, because what you're carrying is bigger than you. But here's the beautiful part, you're not carrying it alone. Look back at your life. Look at the times you thought you were finished, but somehow strength appeared. Look at the moments when you had nothing left, yet help showed up out of nowhere. That wasn't luck. That wasn't chance. That was divine orchestration. You've been carried this entire time, and you're being carried now. So the next time you feel weak, remember, you are allowed to feel tired, but you are not allowed to quit. You are allowed to cry, but you are not allowed to collapse. You are allowed to feel fear, but you are not allowed to bow to it. Because within you is a strength that doesn't come from this world. Within you is a fire that no storm can extinguish. Within you is the very proof that you were born for more. And let me tell you this. Once you truly step into that fire, once you stop running from it and start embracing it, you'll realize something powerful. Nothing external has control over you. Not their words, not their rejection, not their doubt, not their abandonment. None of it defines you anymore. The only thing that defines you is the fire inside you. And that fire, it's unshakable. So the choice is here. Will you keep trying to fit into the 98%, or will you claim your place among the 2%? Will you keep living safe, or will you finally live free? Will you keep waiting for life to change, or will you be the one to change it? Because make no mistake, this is your moment. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. And once you choose, once you fully step in, once you decide with your whole being that you will no longer settle, the universe will respond in ways that will leave you speechless. The shift won't be gradual. It will be sudden, radical, undeniable. The kind of shift that others will see and say, "How did it happen so fast?" But you'll know it wasn't fast. It was the result of years of preparation, years of fire, years of being refined for such a time as this. This is the turning point. This is the line in the sand. This is the moment where the 2% are separated from the 98%. And right now, as you hear these words, you already know which side you belong on. The separation has begun. You can already feel it in the atmosphere. People you once leaned on no longer feel aligned. Conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. Places you once fit into now feel too small, too suffocating. That's not you being strange, that's growth. That's your spirit outgrowing what no longer matches its frequency. And if you've been wondering why everything feels different lately, it's because you're not meant to stay where you were. This is the season of elevation. But elevation doesn't happen in silence, it happens in disruption. The ground beneath you will shake. The old structures will collapse. The familiar will fade. And if you're not careful, you'll mistake it for destruction when really it's construction. The old foundation is being torn down so the new one can be built. That's why it feels chaotic. That's why it feels uncertain. Because transformation never looks neat in the middle. But hear me, if you hold steady through this shift, what's on the other side will exceed every expectation. The blessing waiting for you isn't small. It isn't average. It isn't something you can explain away as luck. It's supernatural. It's undeniable. It's the kind of blessing that forces even your enemies to admit something greater is working for them. That's what's coming. That's what the 2% live in. Pause for a second and think about the countless times you've had to fight battles that weren't even visible to others. You carried storms silently. You smiled when your heart was bleeding. You kept pushing when you could have collapsed. That wasn't weakness. That was proof that your spirit is built for dimensions others can't reach. That's why the 2% are rare, because most people would break under the kind of weight you've had to bear. Here's what you must know. Your silence was never emptiness. It was strategy. You weren't being ignored, you were being hidden. You weren't rejected, you were being redirected. They thought your delays meant you were denied. But God was setting you up for something greater than their comprehension. The 98% chase applause, but the 2% understand that preparation happens in the shadows. And soon, what was hidden will be revealed with such force that no one will be able to deny it. Every closed door was a test of patience. Every betrayal was a test of strength. Every night you cried alone was a test of endurance. And you passed. Even when you thought you were failing, you were passing. Because the test wasn't about perfection, it was about persistence. The 2% don't give up, even when everything in them screams to stop. That's the fire that keeps burning inside you. A fire that can't be extinguished, only refined. And listen closely, when your moment comes, it won't be subtle. It will shake atmospheres, shift environments, and expose every false thing around you. People who once laughed at you will be silenced by your rise. Those who doubted you will have to watch as you step into what they could never touch. It won't just be a breakthrough, it will be a divine eruption, proof that the 2% cannot be ignored. But before that eruption, you'll notice something strange. People will start watching you more closely. They'll try to study you, copy you, even mimic your energy. Yet no matter how hard they try, they can't duplicate what God put inside of you. They'll wonder why doors open for you and stay locked for them. They'll ask why your presence carries weight while theirs fades into the background. The answer is simple: you are chosen, and chosen can't be manufactured. Let me tell you something powerful. Your enemies were never fighting you, they were fighting the anointing on you. That's why their attacks didn't make sense. That's why they came for you without cause. They could sense something in you that threatened everything in them. Demons recognized your authority before you even understood it yourself. That's why the warfare came so early. They were trying to stop you before you realized how unstoppable you truly are. Chosen one, lean in. The shaking you felt in your life wasn't destruction, it was alignment. The shaking was God rearranging everything around you so that only what is unshakable remains. That's why certain people suddenly fell out of your life. That's why opportunities you thought were perfect suddenly collapsed. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. The 2% aren't built for fragile foundations. They are designed to stand on solid ground that can never be moved. And now, you're entering a season where your presence alone will shift the atmosphere. Conversations will stop when you walk in. Eyes will follow you without understanding why. People will sense something but not be able to explain it. That's the glow of the 2%, the undeniable mark of someone chosen. And it will only grow stronger as you continue walking in alignment with your calling. The question is, are you ready for the weight of this glory? Because the 2% don't just carry blessings, they carry responsibility. The responsibility to stay grounded when elevated. The responsibility to remain humble when exalted. The responsibility to guide, to inspire, to stand firm when others collapse. You weren't chosen to blend in, you were chosen to stand out. And the world will soon see why. And the closer you get, the louder the resistance will grow. You'll notice strange opposition rising from places you never expected. People who once clapped for you will suddenly grow silent. Doors that seemed wide open will slam shut in your face. Opportunities that looked guaranteed will evaporate without explanation. But understand this, none of it is random. It is the final stretching of your spirit before the breakthrough. You are being shaken, but not to destroy you, only to awaken you. If you're in the 2%, you know deep down that pressure doesn't mean punishment. It means promotion. Think of it like a bow being drawn back. The tighter the string is pulled, the further the arrow will fly. That tension you feel, that resistance pressing against your chest, is only because you're being launched further than those around you. You were never meant to crawl where others crawl. You were designed to soar where others can't breathe. But before you rise, you must be tested in the shadows, in silence, in pain. And that's why life is stretching you right now. Let me tell you something many won't understand. The blessing that's coming for you isn't just for you. It's for everyone connected to you. That's why the enemy works overtime to discourage you, distract you, and make you doubt yourself. Because if you quit, the chain breaks. If you give up, the ripple never reaches the ones who need it most. Your rise isn't personal, it's generational. And when that truth hits your spirit, you stop moving casually. You realize every day of obedience matters. Every step forward matters. Every ounce of faith matters. Pause for a moment. If this is already speaking to your spirit, don't just watch in silence. Take a second and like this video right now. Because engagement is not just clicking, it's agreement. It's you saying, yes, I am one of the 2%. Yes, I receive this. Yes, I know this message is for me. Now listen closely, because this next part will shake you. You've been wondering why the fight around your life has been so intense. Why betrayal cut you so deeply? Why rejection seemed to find you at every turn? Why every time you thought you finally had peace, chaos came knocking again? Here's the truth. People do not attack the ordinary. Demons do not chase the insignificant. You are being hunted because you are marked. And that mark is proof that heaven has already stamped approval on your destiny. This is why you felt misunderstood your whole life. Why people looked at you but never really saw you. Why you carried burdens you couldn't explain, and dreams that seemed too big for the room you were standing in. That's not imagination, that's evidence. Evidence that you are carrying something far greater than the life you've been living. And deep down, you know it. The whispers in your spirit at night, the strange coincidences, the times you almost gave up but something inside whispered, "Keep going." That was no accident. That was the hand of God holding you when no one else could. That was heaven refusing to let you sink. But here's the part that will divide the 2% from the rest. Many are called, but few are chosen. Everyone is given potential, but not everyone has the courage to walk it out. The 98% will hear messages like this, feel inspired for a moment, and then return to comfort. But the 2%, they take this word and run with it. They don't just hear it, they embody it. They refuse to go back to small thinking, toxic circles, and empty living. They choose destiny over distraction, calling over comfort, faith over fear. And you wouldn't be watching this if you weren't already being stirred. You wouldn't have made it this far in the message if something inside of you wasn't burning. That's not chance. That's confirmation. And if you're brave enough, you're about to see doors swing open that no man can shut. You're about to watch tables turn in ways that make even your enemies bow their heads in silence. You're about to step into a season where what once broke you will now bow to you. The shaking you feel is not the end. It's the sign that the foundation beneath you is shifting to hold more. Because the weight of your next blessing is too heavy for the old structure. And when that moment comes, the very people who doubted you will realize they were standing next to someone chosen all along. The world thinks strength is measured in noise, but the 2% know true power is quiet. It's in the way you walk into a room without announcing yourself, yet every head turns. It's in the way you speak softly but your words echo long after you've gone. You don't need validation because you've already validated yourself in the fire of your trials. And that's why they can't stand you, because you don't play their game and still you win. The very atmosphere bends to your frequency, and most people can't handle that kind of invisible authority. You see, the 2% don't chase opportunities. Opportunities chase them. Doors fling open because your presence itself is the key. The room shifts when you arrive because you bring something beyond charisma. You bring destiny. That's why they feel nervous around you, why they stutter when they speak, why they try to explain themselves even when you didn't ask a question. Your spirit demands honesty, and their masks start to crack under your gaze. Have you noticed how some people avoid eye contact with you? It's not shyness, it's exposure. You strip away their pretense just by existing. And while the world is obsessed with being seen, the 2% are obsessed with being effective. That's why you can disappear for a season and come back stronger than ever. You don't need to broadcast your every move because silence is part of your strategy. The quiet times, when nobody knows what you're doing, are the times you're becoming unstoppable. Your growth is hidden, your plans are concealed, and then suddenly you rise and they can't figure out how. That's why they say, it's like you came out of nowhere. No, you didn't come out of nowhere, you came out of preparation. But here's the truth they'll never admit. Many of them study you in secret. They try to copy your style, your words, your mindset. They scroll your social media. They replay your conversations in their head. They watch your moves with precision. But no matter how hard they try, they can't replicate the fire inside you. Because your fire wasn't manufactured, it was forged. You didn't get it from a book, a trend, or a mentor. You got it from walking through hell and refusing to stay there. That's the difference between you and them. They borrow their power, you embody yours. And yet, being in this 2% is not without cost. The weight is heavy, the path is narrow, and the nights are long. Sometimes you ask yourself, why me? Why this burden? But deep down, you already know the answer because you can handle it. Because if the load was placed on anyone else, it would crush them. You were chosen to carry it, not as punishment, but as preparation for what you're about to inherit. The struggle wasn't random. It was sculpting you into someone who could stand at the height where others faint. So, let me ask you, do you feel the shift already? The acceleration in your life? The sudden clarity in your mind? That's not random. That's the signal that your season is changing. The winds are turning in your favor, and soon the very things that were withheld from you will rush toward you with no resistance. But here's the twist. When it happens, some of the closest people around you will reveal their true colors. They'll either celebrate your rise, or they'll suffocate under their jealousy. And when that moment comes, you'll know exactly who belongs in your circle and who doesn't. Because in the 2%, there is no room for dead weight. You can't carry doubters into destiny. You can't drag the envious into elevation. You can't water seeds that refuse to grow. This is why isolation is part of your calling, not to punish you, but to protect you. The higher you climb, the fewer people can breathe that altitude. Some will fall away naturally, others you'll have to cut loose intentionally. And though it hurts, it will also set you free. Do you understand now why your journey has felt so different? Why the usual paths don't fit you? Why you've always felt like you're walking against the current? It's because you are. You were never meant to fit in, you were meant to stand out. And every rejection, every closed door, every delay was not the universe denying you. It was positioning you. What's ahead of you requires the version of you that only this process could create. That's why you couldn't skip steps. That's why you couldn't take shortcuts. That's why it had to be this way. Pause for a moment and breathe that in. You've survived everything designed to break you. And now, destiny is unfolding like a script you were born to perform. The stage is already set. The lights are waiting. And when you step forward, the world will have no choice but to acknowledge what the 2% always knew. Your spirit was never ordinary. The weight of what you've carried is not just personal, it's generational. You are not only breaking cycles. You are planting seeds for those who come after you. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment you thought of giving up was watering the soil of a future that will not only bless you but bless others through you. And here's what's even more powerful. When you rise, you don't rise alone. Your rise becomes a signal, a ripple effect that shakes the atmosphere around you. People who never believed will start believing. Hearts that were closed will start opening. And destinies that were stuck will start moving because you shifted something in the spirit. This is why life couldn't let you quit. This is why doors shut in your face, not to punish you, but to redirect you. This is why some connections had to fall away, because they couldn't carry what you're about to carry. There are things inside of you that the average person cannot handle. Your calling is weighty, your mantle is heavy, and your spirit cannot settle for the ordinary. That's why you've always felt restless when you tried to live small. That's why even when you tried to hide, the light in you still broke through the cracks. You can't dim what was designed to shine. But let me tell you the most unsettling truth. You haven't even scratched the surface of what's about to be revealed in you. The moments ahead are not about survival. They're about demonstration. You are about to demonstrate strength that nobody saw coming. You are about to demonstrate grace that people cannot explain. You are about to demonstrate power that makes others stop and question what changed. And the answer will be simple. You stepped fully into the 2%. You stopped apologizing for your gift. You stopped downplaying your worth. You stopped hiding your fire. And the world won't be able to ignore it. Right now, even as you listen, something is unlocking. Your spirit is stretching. Your energy is rising. And the resistance you've felt, that was just confirmation of how significant your next move will be. Because when the 2% move, the atmosphere shifts. When the 2% speak, silence breaks. When the 2% show up, darkness flees. That is who you are. That is what you carry. And that is why nothing in your life will ever remain the same after this. The moment you finally accept who you are, the game changes. Life stops being random, and everything begins to align with a purpose so divine it almost feels unreal. You'll notice it. Opportunities that once seemed impossible will start appearing effortlessly. People who once overlooked you will suddenly be reminded of your presence. Not because you demanded attention, but because your energy now carries authority. You're no longer moving as someone trying to survive. You're moving as someone destined to reign. Chosen one, there's a reason your presence makes others uncomfortable. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. When you walk into a room, the vibration shifts because the frequency you carry is not ordinary. Some people can't even explain why they feel uneasy around you. But the truth is this: their spirit recognizes the power in yours. You reflect what they've been afraid to confront within themselves. Their own potential, their own calling, their own truth. That's why some admire you in silence while others attack you in jealousy. Either way, they can't ignore you. And here's what you must understand. You weren't built to blend in. You were built to stand out. The very things that made you feel different, isolated, or misunderstood were the markings of your calling. Think about it. How many times did you try to fit in, only to realize the crowd never felt right? That wasn't rejection. That was redirection. The universe, God, destiny. It all conspired to keep you from settling for less than who you truly are. But let me take it deeper. Your pain wasn't wasted. Every setback was training. Every betrayal was shaping. Every lonely night was preparing you to carry something too great to be birthed in comfort. Pressure was the process. The weight you felt was evidence of the treasure you carry. Diamonds aren't formed in ease. They're formed in intensity. And you, chosen one, are that diamond, cut, refined, unbreakable. Now the shift is happening. You're crossing over from hidden battles into visible blessings. What was once delayed is now accelerating. What was once blocked is now breaking open. And it won't be subtle, it will be undeniable. The same people who questioned you will have to witness the manifestation of everything you were patient enough to endure for. Your rise will not be quiet, it will be a testimony. So hear me, this next chapter isn't about proving them wrong. It's about proving destiny right. You're stepping into a season where validation no longer matters, because the evidence of your anointing will speak louder than opinions. Wealth will find you. Opportunities will chase you. Doors will swing open, not because of luck, but because you finally aligned with the truth of who you are, the 2%, the chosen one, the unstoppable. And when you step fully into this power, even your silence will carry weight. Even your stillness will command respect. Because when chosen ones rise, the world takes notice. Chosen one, the most powerful moves in your life won't come with noise. They won't be announced with trumpets or celebrated by the masses. No, the greatest shift in your destiny will happen quietly, almost unnoticed at first, like a seed breaking through the soil underground. And that's the beauty of your journey. While others were busy chasing attention, you were busy being refined in silence. Do you realize how dangerous your silence has been to the enemy? While they assumed you were stagnant, you were actually being equipped. While they laughed at your struggle, you were learning endurance. And now, when you rise, it won't just be a comeback, it will be a takeover. Because chosen ones don't need validation. They operate on revelation. Your silence has been your strategy. You didn't broadcast every move. You didn't expose every plan. You allowed time, faith, and wisdom to do the work for you. And now, the fruit of that patience is about to be undeniable. Understand this. When a diamond is being formed, it doesn't announce itself. It just emerges with brilliance that cannot be ignored. That's you, chosen one. The brilliance is emerging. People who once underestimated you will be forced to reevaluate their opinion. Why? Because your results will speak louder than their doubts. The wealth you attract, the influence you carry, the authority in your presence, it will silence every critic. And here's the secret. You won't even need to clap back. Your success will answer every lie spoken against you. But let's go deeper. This silent rise isn't just about material blessings. It's about spiritual authority. When you step into alignment with your divine assignment, you become untouchable. That's why attacks have failed. That's why plots against you didn't prosper. That's why doors that others tried to shut have suddenly swung wide open. Because when the chosen one is positioned, no force on earth can stop the flow of favor. Do you feel it? The shift in the atmosphere? That stirring in your spirit that tells you something massive is on the horizon? That's not imagination, that's confirmation. You are walking into a chapter where acceleration becomes your norm. where things that used to take years will now happen in months, where connections, resources, and divine opportunities will align at a speed that will leave even you in awe. And this is where the silent rise becomes dangerous to the world around you. Because while others scramble for attention, you will operate with intention. While they chase validation, you will move with vision. You will no longer explain your glow, it will simply radiate. You will no longer justify your favor, it will simply overflow. Chosen one, hear me clearly. The silent rise is here. The world may not see it yet, but they will. And when they do, there will be no denying that you were chosen, preserved, and positioned for such a time as this. Chosen one, what's about to happen in your life is not just provision, it's overflow. You've survived seasons where lack tried to define you. You've endured moments where the cupboards were empty, the account was low, and opportunities felt scarce. But hear this truth. Those were not punishments, they were preparations. Because when God releases wealth into the hands of a chosen one, it's never meant to be ordinary, it's meant to overflow. This overflow is not just about money, it's about influence, power, and reach. Understand this. Wealth in its truest form is the ability to shape environments, elevate others, and create movements that cannot be stopped. And that's exactly why divine favor is about to position you in places where your name will carry weight. You will not just enter rooms, you will shift atmospheres when you walk in. But let's pause here. Why wealth? Why influence? Because chosen ones are not called to blend in. They are called to lead, to establish, to plant, and to build. The reason money is about to find you is not because you begged for it, but because your mission requires it. Heaven funds purpose. Divine favor bankrolls destiny. And because your calling is bigger than you, the overflow must be greater than what you imagined. Get this in your spirit. What's coming to you is pressed down, shaken together, and running over. It will be so abundant that you will not only meet your needs but also become the answer to the needs of others. People will look to you not only as a source of inspiration but as a solution. That's the level of overflow you are stepping into. And yes, there will be those who are jealous. They will whisper about how quickly your life turned around. They will try to rationalize your blessings, saying it must have been luck or a shortcut. But deep down, they will know this is the hand of God. Because the speed at which things align for you cannot be explained by human reasoning. This overflow also comes with protection. God is not giving you influence for it to be wasted. He is not entrusting you with resources for them to be misused. That's why you were trained in lack, so you would understand stewardship. That's why you experienced being overlooked. So when the spotlight finds you, you will carry humility. That's why you walked through rejection, so that when the world finally embraces you, you'll know how to discern true intentions. Chosen one, get ready. Influence is about to shift in your direction. Wealth is about to flow into your life in ways that shock even you. The businesses, the opportunities, the platforms, they're aligning not by accident but by divine order. And remember this, the overflow isn't just for you. You are blessed to be a blessing. You will build what others only dreamed of. You will open doors that others couldn't unlock. You will carry an anointing so powerful that everywhere you step will prosper. The overflow is here, chosen one. And nothing, no enemy, no plot, no limitation, can stop what heaven has already released into your hands. Chosen one, listen carefully. Wealth and favor are powerful, but authority is what truly sets you apart. Authority is not something you buy, it is not something you beg for, and it is not something others can deny you. Authority is bestowed by heaven. It's the invisible crown that sits on your spirit, the weight of divine backing that causes everything around you to bow in alignment. This is why chosen ones move differently. When you speak, things shift. When you declare, atmospheres change. Your authority is not in the volume of your voice but in the weight of your spirit. Even when you whisper, your presence carries power. Demons recognize it. Enemies feel it. The environment adjusts to it. You've probably noticed it already. People can't quite explain why they listen when you speak, why they respect you even when they don't want to, why they feel conviction just being around you. That's not charisma, that's not charm, that's unshakable authority. Heaven has marked you, and the earth can sense it. But let me tell you why your authority had to be tested. You went through seasons where it felt like your voice didn't matter. People ignored you, dismissed you, and even silenced you. Those weren't failures, those were rehearsals. Because authority that hasn't been tested cannot be trusted. Every time you stayed quiet instead of reacting in anger, you were building authority. Every time you rose above slander, you were securing your authority. Every time you walked away instead of fighting battles beneath you, heaven was crowning you with greater authority. And now, you are walking into a season where you will not just have influence, but dominion. Influence inspires people, but authority commands situations. Influence gains attention, but authority breaks barriers. Influence is good, but authority is unstoppable. This is why enemies are nervous about you. They see the shift in your posture, the fire in your eyes, the weight in your words. They know you are not who you used to be. They can no longer play with your spirit, toy with your mind, or manipulate your emotions. You've stepped into a higher frequency, and authority flows from it. Chosen one, you must embrace this authority boldly. You can no longer shrink back, you can no longer dim your light, you can no longer apologize for the weight you carry. The world needs your authority. Your family, your community, your generation. They need the boldness of a chosen one who knows they are backed by heaven. So from this moment forward, walk with unshakable confidence. Declare with certainty. Move with conviction. When you command blessings, expect them to manifest. When you declare protection, trust that heaven dispatches angels. When you call for resources, believe they are already on their way. That's the level of authority you have been entrusted with. Remember, kings don't beg, they decree. And you are a spiritual king, a royal priesthood, set apart and crowned with authority that no one can strip away. Chosen one, before God elevates you, he separates you. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, but it is the key to unlocking your next level. Separation feels painful, confusing, and even unfair, but it is always intentional. You may have wondered why certain friendships ended abruptly, why family members pulled away, why the crowd you once fit in with now feels foreign. It wasn't rejection, it was redirection. God was pulling you away from what could not go where you're going. Not everyone can handle the altitude you're about to rise to, and not everyone can breathe the air of your destiny. Think about it, when an aircraft is preparing for takeoff, excess weight must be removed. Some things can stay on the ground, but they cannot go up in the air. In the same way, God removed excess weight from your life. He stripped away the connections, distractions, and influences that would have slowed your flight. It hurt, didn't it? Felt like abandonment. But the truth is, separation was protection. Some people were smiling in your face but secretly jealous of your potential. Some people were close to you only to drain your energy, copy your ideas, or sabotage your spirit. If God hadn't separated you, they would have poisoned your elevation. And now you can see it more clearly. Since they left, your vision has sharpened, your spirit has strengthened, and your peace has grown deeper. That is the fruit of divine separation. But here's what makes it powerful. Separation always precedes elevation. Every chosen one in history went through it. Joseph was separated from his brothers before he became ruler in Egypt. David was separated from the palace before he was crowned king. Even Jesus separated himself in the wilderness before stepping fully into his ministry. Chosen one, you are in that same process. The loneliness you've been feeling is not permanent. It's preparation. The silence is not punishment. It's strategy. The solitude is not a setback. It's setup. Because when elevation comes, you will be surrounded again. But this time, not by leeches, not by doubters, not by counterfeit friends. You will be surrounded by kingdom connections, divine helpers, and true supporters. The circle will be smaller, but it will be stronger. So don't resist the separation. Don't run back to what God removed. Don't try to fit in where you no longer belong. Every time you are tempted to return, remember this: going back will cost you your future. Chosen one, embrace this season. Because after the separation comes the lifting, the breakthrough, the visibility, the reward. You are closer to your elevation than you think. Chosen one, the season of lack, scarcity, and delay is ending. A great transfer is in motion. A shift so powerful that it will move resources, opportunities, and influence from the hands of the unworthy into the hands of the chosen. This isn't just about money. Wealth is not limited to currency. It includes wisdom, favor, access, creativity, and divine opportunities. And right now, the spiritual order is rearranging itself. Everything that was being stored up, everything that was withheld, everything that was kept from you, it is being released. The world has long operated in an upside-down system where those with deceitful hearts rose quickly, where manipulators controlled resources, and where liars sat in high places. But heaven's order is justice, and God's justice never delays. It always arrives at the right time. The scripture says, "The wealth of the wicked is laid up for the just." This is that time, chosen one. This transfer is happening silently, behind the scenes, without headlines, but it is real. Have you noticed the sudden shaking in systems around you? Economies are uncertain. Companies are crumbling. Leaders are being exposed. This is not chaos, it is a divine exchange. What no longer serves heaven's purpose is being dismantled, and what belongs to God's children is being reassigned. You may have felt overlooked for years, working hard, staying faithful, giving your best, yet not seeing the fruit. That was never wasted. Your consistency was a seed, and now the harvest is being commanded in your direction. The wealth transfer is not about chance, it is about alignment. And because you remained aligned, you are now positioned to receive. It will not come the way you expect. Some of it will come through new doors you didn't even knock on. Some of it will come through people suddenly favoring you without explanation. Some of it will come through ideas, strategies, and creativity that God plants in your spirit. And some of it will come through the downfall of those who mishandled their position, leaving room for you to step in. But here is the secret: you must be prepared to carry it. Wealth without wisdom destroys, but wealth with purpose multiplies. This is not just for you to live comfortably. This is for you to build, to establish, to uplift, to fund kingdom work, to change lives. You are not just receiving wealth, you are receiving responsibility. Chosen one, get ready to handle more than you've ever handled before. The tables are turning, the scales are balancing, and the transfer is already happening. You may not see it in full yet, but pieces of it are already finding their way to you. Stay alert, stay grateful, stay disciplined, because what is coming into your hands now is not meant to be wasted, it is meant to be multiplied. Chosen one, wealth and blessings mean little without authority. And this is the part of your journey where heaven is equipping you not just to receive, but to reign. To walk in kingdom authority is to move in a realm where you no longer beg, chase, or prove yourself. Everything begins to respond to the power you carry. Authority is different from power. Power is the force, but authority is the right to use it. A soldier may carry a weapon, but unless he's authorized, he cannot act. Likewise, many people chase after power, but only the chosen are given authority by heaven. And right now, your authority is being activated. When you speak, environments will shift. When you walk into a room, resistance will weaken. When you declare, doors will open. Not because of who you are in the flesh, but because of the mantle you carry in the spirit. Authority is not noise, it is silent weight. And you, chosen one, have been given that weight. Think back on your battles. Every tear, every season of loneliness, every storm you endured. It wasn't just suffering. It was training. Heaven does not release authority cheaply. You had to be processed, humbled, refined. You had to learn restraint, patience, and wisdom. Now, because you endured, you are trusted with authority. And authority doesn't need to be announced, it is recognized. Even your enemies know it. This is why they react so strongly when you're near. This is why some people suddenly turn cold or uncomfortable around you. They sense that you carry something they cannot manipulate. Authority cannot be faked, and they know it. This new level of authority will also bring tests. When you realize how much influence your words and actions carry, you must be careful. A careless word can plant destruction. A wise word can release healing. Authority demands responsibility. Heaven did not raise you up to rule with arrogance, but with balance. strength paired with humility, boldness tempered with grace. Do not underestimate what is happening within you right now. Authority means you will no longer knock on doors, they will open at your presence. You will no longer chase opportunities, they will search for you. You will no longer fight the same battles, because the authority you now carry causes resistance to collapse before it even reaches you. Chosen one, this is not ordinary influence. This is kingdom authority. And when you walk in it, nothing, absolutely nothing, can stand against you. Chosen one, authority prepares you for something even greater, the crown of legacy and influence. Wealth can sustain you, authority can position you, but legacy, this is what ensures that your impact outlives you. Influence is the extension of your destiny beyond your immediate reach, shaping lives, generations, and even nations. You are not being blessed just for yourself. Your wealth, your authority, your elevation, it is all connected to a greater plan. Legacy is not about what you keep. It is about what you leave behind. Influence is not measured by how many people know your name, but by how many lives are transformed because you walked in obedience to your calling. The crown of legacy is not handed out casually. It comes to those who endured the wilderness, carried the weight of isolation, and chose integrity over shortcuts. The fact that you are still standing after everything you have been through is proof that heaven has prepared you to wear this crown. Influence doesn't mean everyone will like you. In fact, the more your influence grows, the more resistance you will face. But chosen one, influence is not about popularity, it is about impact. Your words, your decisions, your presence, these will begin to ripple outward in ways you may not even fully see. You will touch lives you never meet. You will inspire people you never speak to directly. Your story will become a silent testimony that fuels others to rise. This crown is not made of gold, but of trust. Heaven is trusting you with visibility, with platforms, with opportunities that carry weight. And with that trust comes responsibility, to walk in humility, to steward wisely, and to never forget that your influence is a tool for building the kingdom, not your ego. Chosen one, this is why the journey was so heavy. This is why you could not quit when others did. You were not being shaped just for survival, you were being shaped for legacy. Every closed door, every betrayal, every hidden season was building a foundation so strong that now, when the crown rests on your head, it will not crush you. You will carry it with grace. Your legacy is not just about wealth or status. It is about the spiritual mark you leave behind. And chosen one, heaven has already decreed, you will not be forgotten. Your name will echo through time. Your influence will reach far beyond your imagination, and your crown will be undeniable. Chosen one, you have walked through fire, endured rejection, survived the wilderness, and risen above traps that were meant to destroy you. And now, you are stepping into what heaven has declared from the beginning, the unstoppable reign of the chosen. This reign is not about domination in the worldly sense. It is about walking in unshakable alignment with divine power. It is about reaching a place where no enemy, no demon, no opposition can derail what has been written for you. The unstoppable reign means that your wealth cannot be stolen, your authority cannot be questioned, and your legacy cannot be erased. Every attempt to block you has failed because this reign was sealed long before your birth. Even when you doubted yourself, heaven did not. Even when others counted you out, the promise remained intact. And now the season has shifted, your reign has begun. This reign is unstoppable because it is not powered by man but by God. It is fueled by faith, sustained by obedience, and crowned with divine favor. You will find doors opening without you knocking. You will see opportunities aligning without your striving. You will walk into rooms where your name has already been spoken with honor. Chosen one, understand this truth. Your reign is not temporary. It is not a fleeting moment of success. It is a sustained movement, a ripple that will continue to expand. You are stepping into a flow where blessings multiply, influence spreads, and victories become your new normal. The unstoppable reign also means peace in the midst of storms. Even if battles arise, they will only serve to showcase your strength. Enemies will watch helplessly as you ascend, unable to interfere, forced to witness what they cannot stop. And here is the ultimate revelation. Your reign is not just for you. It is generational. The doors you open will remain open for those who come after you. The wealth you build will sustain families. The authority you walk in will inspire others to claim their rightful place. The legacy you leave will stand as a monument that proves God is faithful. Chosen one, you are not stepping into your reign, you are already in it. Every step you take from this point forward is within the realm of divine power, unstoppable momentum, and undeniable glory. So rise boldly, walk confidently, speak with authority, live with purpose, for you are crowned, chosen, and unstoppable. Fire, this is your reign. This is your destiny. This is your time.